Okay, I'm going live just a bit early to make sure everything's working because we did not get a chance to test it yet on the new. Hi Hannah, let me know if you can hear me okay and see me okay. This is our first test after upgrading some internet issues. Hi Michelle. Hi Kim. Yeah, let me know if everything seems okay with you guys. Last stream we had some audio issues. You may have noticed if you watched that one or were there. And this one we have a little bit stronger of internet. I don't know internet terms. I don't know how any of that works. So the upload things are faster. Megabits, gigabits, I don't know. Hi Chris, hi Amanda Jean, thank you guys. Hi Trina. Okay, awesome. So it looks like everything is working well. Now usually with YouTube, what happens is about 5 minutes in, it tells me that things are not good. So that's why I decided to go live a little bit earlier. So y'all go ahead, tell me what you are working on. Let me know how your week is going. Hi Timpet Creations. Yeah, let me know what you guys are doing. We are going to do a little recap of what happened in the last live stream. And because I know some people were having a really hard time even understanding the audio, which I totally understand. So I'll do a recap of this this faux shag rug that we did. Hi Speedies. 2 o'clock in the morning in Vienna. Well, thank you for being here. I hope you have some coffee, or maybe not coffee, so that you can go to sleep. It is 7 o'clock here in Texas. Just finished dinner. My husband made dinner, which was very nice of him to do, and I made homemade bread to go with it, so it was very good. So far, oh wait, hold on. Am I getting my little notice that it usually gives me? It's still giving me the same notice, so I don't know what that means. I don't know what keyframes are, and I don't know how to send them any faster, YouTube, so. Hi, TKB. Continuing to work on my abandoned haunted dollhouse. Awesome. That's cool. Trina is still sick. Oh, you got your archway up. That's good. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Angela. I know, we're on a different night, just because this is a makeup for the last live stream that failed. Hi, Sophie's Choice. Love your tip on using sticky notes for the floor plan. Already used your tip. Thanks for the inspiration. No problem. If you guys don't know what she's talking about, I'm gonna go over that again real quick. I still have my little pattern from last time. I literally just took the house, stuck it back there, and just brought it over here. Hi, Andrea. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start. We're like 3 minutes early, but it'll be fine. People can go back. Hi, Berta. Kim's working on her apothecary shop. That's awesome. I love hearing what you guys are working on. If you are not on my Facebook page, I know not everybody has Facebook, but I've been having a workshop or what did I call it? Work Table Wednesdays, where you guys can share your photos on my page, and we all kind of get to see what everyone's working on. So if you are part of Facebook and want to do that, make sure that you like my page. And on Wednesdays, I just put up a post that says Work Table Wednesdays, and then you can post what you've been working on. I didn't do that yesterday, but most of the time I do it every week. Michelle says, just finished making a stack of books for a desk in my dollhouse and for the kids' nursery room. What did you make them out of, Michelle? Did you do clay or paper? Because I enjoyed making those clay books for the little lamp thing. That was really fun. and it was really fast. Faster than making paper books. So I'm going to have to keep that in mind. Because I have a lot of Addams Family books I need to make. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. You guys can keep talking about what you're working on, because I'll make sure and read the comments every now and then. But I'm going to go ahead and kind of do an overview of what we did last time for anyone who wasn't here or couldn't understand the audio. So I wanted to make shag carpet for the Fairfield because it's supposed to be a Victorian mansion that was kind of redecorated in the 1970s. And so I wanted to do shag carpet, and of course I wanted to do some green shag carpet. And I think it was Rob in one of the live streams suggested doing like a towel type material and then painting it. So I'm using this hand towel right here. And you can see I've already cut it up because that's where this came from. It has this little chicken on it that everybody was adoring in the last live stream. But what I did, I'll take this out. I haven't glued this in because something interesting happened, so I'm going to talk to you about that. But what I did was I took a bunch of Post-its and I put them into my house and made a pattern. Make sure you can see this. I made a pattern of the floor. And so from that, I was able to take that off, and I like to use the Post-its because they're restickable, or you can, they're not the stickiest kind. And so I used a little bit of masking tape to keep it together. And then from there, all I did was move the dollhouse and just put it on whatever material you want to use and then cut it out, and you have the perfect size for your dollhouse floor. Now, the interesting thing is, I'm going to show you compared to this right here. Now, when I talked about this in my last live stream, I told you that it should shrink back. I thought it would shrink back because, you know, when things get wet or when they dry, they kind of expand and contract. And so I was like, oh, it'll just shrink back. Well, it didn't. It got much longer in this way and just a little bit longer this way. So I'm going to have to cut it a little bit to get it to fit. So the good news is that it didn't shrink. The problem would be if it shrank and then it doesn't fit your corners anymore. So it being a little bit too big is not really a problem for me because I can always cut extras off. I want to catch up on comments real quick. Maria's working on a dream yarn shop, quilt shop, and secret library. Ooh, that sounds fun. Hi, Marcia. Hi, Spiritual Casino. Yes, sound is working so far. Yay! Everyone still keep your fingers crossed, unless you're crafting, and then you need to keep them free. Paper using foam stickers, your clay tutorial is on my list. Just figured out my clock in my living room must need batteries. Hi, Carol. Yeah, I have a clock. Y'all can't see it. It's right off over here. It was in my art classroom, but I went ahead and brought it home. And it's like from, it's supposed to be a clock from Salvador Dali's like melting clock painting. And the kids are always like, I can't read that clock. And sometimes I couldn't read it either. It's kind of a weird looking clock. Andrea, I'm still chugging along on my Victoria's farmhouse. We renamed it my happy house. I'm putting things into it that remind me of happy memories. That is amazing. I love that. Angela, I did a resin pond for my caravan. Awesome. Did you use UV resin or the 2-part mix resin? Because I'm still not very sure at all on how to do the UV resin or the 2-part resin. I think I got UV resin down, but we'll see. Hi, Joanne. Well, I'm glad it's in normal time for you now, Joanne, instead of 2 in the morning, although it's 2 in the morning for somebody. Hi, Danny. Okay, so what I was just saying is that this piece got a little bit too big. And I will show it to you in the dollhouse floor to show you the problem. But I think it can be fixed. So we are just going to experiment here a little bit. I'm going to stick this in. Now this is not an exact science because I've never made shag carpet before. So this is all a bit of an experiment. So if I line it up to pretty much fit back here, it overlaps right here. You can see me push that piece down. There's no floor underneath there. And then it leaves, goodness, something just keeps dinging. Please stop. Okay. And then it has this gap right here. So what I want to do is I want to start cutting off pieces from this side. So hopefully, you can see a gap here. So hopefully this whole piece can squish this way and fit accurately. So I'm going to start by cutting off bits on this end so that I can fit it a little bit more carefully. Sadly, I can make a dollhouse because I don't have room, but working on a doll outfit for my friend. A lot of people don't realize that miniatures take up a lot of space, especially if you do dollhouses. They get very big. But yeah, I highly suggest room boxes. I'm actually getting more into room boxes like my abandoned coffee shop because it takes up so much less space than like an Addams Family mansion that's taking up an entire corner of my room. So definitely look into room boxes if you're looking to save space. 2-part. Well, I'm glad that it worked for you because I still don't have the guts to do 2-part resin again. Heather says, I still don't have my dollhouse, but I'm cranking out the furnishings. I've been looking forward to this live stream. Oh, thank you. I've been looking forward to it too. Oh no, it's 2 a.m. for Berta. Thank you guys for being here in the middle of the night. I know that's rough. I just use clear nail polish on a glass for water with ice in the clear cup. The clear cube beads and poured clear nail polish over the ice cubes and it came out better than resin. That's interesting. I have actually never heard of anyone doing that. That's pretty cool. Whoop, sorry, just bumped everything. What kind of fabric? It is a kitchen towel. And I just tried to find one that had like the smallest loops on it. So I kind of went through some of the ones that I wasn't using anymore. And like compared to like a washcloth loops are just a little bit bigger. So because this is half scale, I decided to just look and find one that had the smallest loops. You can also go to like secondhand stores and see if you can find any towels that, you know, are not wanted anymore. And a lot of times, especially if you're doing like an old grimy house like I usually do, if it's a little bit stained, oh well. Don't forget shag carpet never stayed flat. Yeah, it did start bunching up because I did put it in here wet at one point, and yeah, it bunched up, but it looked kind of realistic, you know. Okay, so what I'm going to do, it's kind of nice that I still have this piece because I can kind of use it to gauge how much I need to cut off of the top here. And for some reason it looks a little, oh my goodness, there is an ant on my table. Hold on. That's a big ant. Where in the world did you come from? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Why are you on my table? Okay, sorry. Okay, so I'm going to use this. That was a big ant, guys. Huge. Don't forget, oh yeah, people in Australia might find it useful to know that Kmart stock terrariums and domes. That is pretty awesome. I don't think we have Kmart anymore. I remember going to Kmart a lot, but I haven't seen one in a while. We don't have them many in Texas, I don't think. Washcloth, oh wait. Thank you. I'm glad you like the old grimy houses. I have not used felt for a floor yet. But it could work. I haven't tried it. Washcloths were baby washcloths. I thought you were calling me Aira baby for a second. Hey Aira. Baby washcloths work good for 1-inch scale towels and robes. I have seen people make robes from washcloths, and I was thinking about making one for Lurch and like hanging that in his room because I don't know, I just think it's funny for Lurch for some reason. Is Heather Tracy here? Oh, you're the one who said your thank you, Heather. Room boxes are my favorite, or small handmade houses that have roughly 2 rooms. Yes. Yeah, a lot of people are going to the smaller scales, and like this is half scale, so you know, obviously I'm trying out a smaller scale as well. But like I said, once I like get into a project like the Addams Family, I like to add and add and add, and this doesn't seem very scientific here. I'm just going to cut across as straight as I can. Like I said, not exact science. So I am, you know, trying out this half scale thing to see how it goes, because man, the Addams Family, like I love adding onto it, but it's huge. It's massive, and I don't know how I'm ever going to take it anywhere. All right, so let's see how it's working. And I am going to put some floorboards. Is that what they're called? Floorboards? Baseboards. Baseboards. Around. So if it does not hit exactly, it's okay. But that gap we had earlier was not okay. All right. So that looks a lot better to me. And one thing I did notice is that you can kind of manipulate this. So I think once the glue is down, it will be very manipulative. That doesn't sound good. I will be able to manipulate it quite well to get into all the spaces that I want. So, no, you're not late, Heather. I started just tiny bit early to make sure everything was working. But you can always go back and look at the front. And I was just kind of recapping what we did in the last live stream. Hi, Warrior Box. Okay, so I think that is a good cut for this. I do need to take a little bit off this side. And I think I'm just going to keep knocking that, you guys. I'm sorry. This house, as it's grown, I feel like my desk space has shrunk. So it started out manageable, and now it's just taking over everything. All right, we're just going to carefully cut. Okay. So if any of you are new to miniatures, if you see Heather Tracy's name on there and you are not, if you have not subscribed to her channel, you need to click through and go subscribe to her channel, because she does amazing things. Today she posted a video on how to make a fox, and she uses a Cricut maker, and but she shows you how to like sculpt from those pieces, which is really cool. So make sure, she's a good one to know. If you like my channel, I know you'll like her channel, so make sure you go subscribe to her. Are you going to live stream for the rest of the Addams Family characters? I'm not going to live stream it because dolls take so long to make, but I will do videos for them. I just have to have time in between making the dolls, because they just are so time intensive that I'm just exhausted by the time I get to the end of one of the dolls. I was just telling the truth, Heather. Okay, so I'm happy with the fit back here, although you can still see it. It's kind of nice that I have an up camera because I can see from above. It's kind of nice. I highly suggest it. And then I'm gonna just cut off over here, and oh, something just happened, but it's okay. I don't know why that happened. Okay, so I'm gonna just trim off this edge because it's kind of going up the wall, and then trim this edge, and then I might be ready to glue it down. I might have to trim this. I don't want to trim that edge until I'm ready to glue. Okay, now I'm gonna try and move it without hitting the camera. My adult nephew was in a thrift store over the weekend and spotted the Allison Jr. almost complete. Had the box and parts with the instructions. $4? Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to trim a little bit off of this side, and I'm just kind of eyeballing it. It's really hard to like use a ruler and mark on fabric that's fuzzy. So I'm just going to eyeball it. And if we have a few bumps and imperfections, all the better. We'll just call it character. And I'm going to just trim a tiny bit off of this. And I can always cut more, but I can't cut less. So I'm just starting with little bits and seeing how it fits. Hi, Penny. Okay. Yep, I cut a little bit too much, but that's okay. Like I said, I'm going to put baseboards on the walls, so, and I think I can stretch it a little bit, especially when I get the glue on. So, I think we are ready to glue, and some of you may notice these spots. I didn't know if they would go away after it dried, but I think this is where, when I went to put paint down, and what this is, if you missed the last one, it's watered down green paint. I can't talk. It's a watered down green paint, and I just kind of made a wash, and it was more of like an ink type substance, and I probably could have used ink. I actually do have green ink, but I felt like it would be harder to clean up. So it's just watered down green paint, and then I just kind of put it on top of this towel, and the towel was white, so it soaked it up pretty well. Okay, so I did cut a little bit too much off. I was just talking about that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get some tacky glue, and we're going to go ahead and glue this guy down. A rotary cutter, yeah, a rotary cutter would be a really good option, and I have one somewhere. I don't know where it is right now. You can paint any gaps in the floor. Oh, that's true. I could paint them, because I do have this green, because I do have the green that I made this with. There we go. I'm going to use tacky glue. And I'm on the very last drop. And I almost bought some other tacky glue the other day, but they only had small bottles. I was at Michael's. They just had little tiny bottles. I was like, well, I'm going to need like 8 of these. Like, this is the size that I buy. And they were tiny. All right, are we coming out? Okay. So now I'm just going to put a couple globs, and then I'm going to try, because it's really hard to get this huge bottle. I was just complaining about small bottles, but it is kind of hard to get this huge bottle in here. So I'm just going to put a few globs. I'm just going to squeeze it out, and then I'm going to take something and smooth out all of the blobs so it's kind of even. And I'm not going to do the very end here yet. I'm just going to do kind of the first half. I started going around the stairway because I want to do the stairway first, but I'm not going to do the whole thing yet. We'll see. I'm making this up as I go. Okay, so I'm going to go down here and add a couple more just big blobs. Literally, my glue bottle can't reach the floor. So I'm just going to put some globs down. Can y'all see what I'm doing? Kind of. And this is just like a little sculpting spatula tool. And I'm just going to kind of get it where I want it for now. And I don't feel like I have to get it super flattened out, because like the carpet's kind of lumpy too. And I put the glue bottle up. I should keep it down. Heather says, I like the splotches. Can only imagine what fluids have been spilled on that floor. Very true. Oh, Dollar Tree has tacky glue? I did not know that. Okay, any spots that I don't have glue for, I'm just gonna put the glue directly on my spatula and get it back there. And I'm leaving it pretty thick. I'm hoping it'll help the fabric kind of stretch and move if it's kind of still if the glue is still chunky. I don't even know if that makes sense. Hi, Jillian. Okay. So I think I'm going to start with this. One thing you do want to make sure you do is get around the corners and the edges. I'm not quite all the way in the corners yet. Okay, and then I do plan on aging the carpet, so hopefully it won't be quite as neon bright, and I will probably you know, put some brown spots along with the green spots, so it'll all come together. That's why aging stuff is the best, because you can just cover up the I didn't know that was gonna happen type moments. I'll just age it. Okay, so we're gonna start with that. I'm gonna get this in the back first. Kind of want to get that situated before I lay everything else down, because if that catches hold incorrectly, everything else is not going to fit. Okay. Oops. Okay. When I don't know what I'm doing, I say, okay, a lot. Try and just kind of massage it over, if that makes sense. But it's gluing down really, really well. Like, I already feel like it's got a fairly good bond. And I left this free, so that's why this isn't all the way over to the side yet. Okay. So I have this left to put glue on, and I'm pretty happy. Whoop. Massage this guy up. Heather, I'd totally attend a wild party at Ava's house. Oh, I'm super wild, guys. my dollhouses are a little bit more wild than I am. Spiritual Casino says I would have mixed a couple of water drops with the glue. That probably is a good idea. And then you can like spread it a little bit more. I'm probably doing it the hard way, but also because water kind of warped this so much, I don't want to, I kind of want to stay away from the water a little bit. I really don't know. This is all kind of new. But the water did kind of mess with the towel. We're going to get some more glue on here. Man, this glue does not want to come out. This is hashtag miniaturist problems. Glue does not want to come out of the glue bottle. Okay. Now I don't know if I want my carpet to go over the side. I think I have enough to do that. Is that weird for carpet to like roll over the edge of the floor? Has anyone done that? Or do you just cut it off? Because I think I usually cut it off. I don't have my flooring overlap the edge, because the edges are usually like not very nice looking. I don't know. What do y'all do? Okay, so I'm gonna make sure I get as much as I can in here. Okay, and now I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna flip it over and just kind of massage it as close to the wall as I can. I can hear the wood in the house creaking. I'm sorry if you're asking questions and I'm not answering them. Feel free to type them again if I miss them, because there's more talking than I can read at the moment, which is awesome. I love that you guys are talking to each other. I see Howdy from West Texas, from Lolita Jess. Hello, fellow Texan. Errors. Yes. We make mistakes here at Bentley House Minis, and we call them flopportunities. It's an opportunity to make something new. Like Bob Ross. Just make it into something else. I would run it under hot water for the glue to flow easier. Oh, use a credit card to spread the glue. That's a good idea. I have my library card, although I just got it, so I don't want to use it to spread glue. I've given up on trying to get the glue to come out of the bottle when I want to. I just open the top and pour. That's what I've been doing. I open the top and I pour it into like a little, one of these little milk lids, and then I just use a toothpick most of the time. West Richland, Washington. Lots of Westerners. Hi, Doris. Yes, happy little accidents. Exactly. Okay, so I still have a gap here, but I do feel like baseboards will cover that up, and I'm pretty happy with that. So here's what I was talking about, if the carpet should cover the edge. Is that weird? Like, I have extra over here for some reason. I think I would have enough to do it all the way across. What is y'all's opinion on that? Does anyone cover the edge with carpet, or just cut this off and paint the wood? I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to make that decision today, but it is an option. But if I do it here, then I'd have to do it other places too. The person who never made a mistake never made anything. Oh, Michelle's saying don't overlap. Thank you, TKB. The thumbnail for your epic fail video always makes me smile. I still have that epic fail sitting on my thing over there, and every time I lift up the top, the most potent resin smell comes out of there because it's still not cured. Just cut it. I see a lot of people saying just cut. Yeah, that's probably what I would do. Okay. I think we're all in agreement. I use an old floral frog to hold my glue upside down. Oh, Doris, you got the Fairfield kit? That's awesome. Best of luck to you. If you post it anywhere online, I started the hashtag fighting the Fairfield. Oops. Fighting the Fairfield. So feel free to use that hashtag. And I think someone else is also using the hashtag of our little, fight out with getting the Fairfield put together. Oh, Jillian says put trim. That's a good idea. Okay, so the other place, I talked about this in my last one, that I want to do shag carpet. I just want 2 places with shag carpet. This is going to be the other room. It has this teal wallpaper, and I think I'm going to do the carpet in there a dark brown. When I think of shag carpet, the colors I think of are dark brown and green, mostly because those were the colors of shag carpet I remember in my family's household. And so anyway, I want to do brown shag carpet in here, and then the rest of it is going to be wood flooring. So except I'm not sure about, I think I still want to do it here because it's going to be running from, it's going to be difficult, but there's this entryway here, And then because I cut this wall, originally, you see this archway right here? Originally this is supposed to be closed off. And so you can't see through the house. And I love that you can see through the house and it looks like there's a hallway coming back here. But now I got to do flooring through here. So that's going to be interesting. And it'll be interesting to figure out how to do that. But we've got one bit of shag carpet down. So what I will probably do next in this room, I'm not going to do it during live stream, but one thing that is bugging me, and if you're doing the Fairfield also, this may be bugging you, or any other green leaf kit. Let me see if I can get it correctly here. This corner right here, if you can see, this is where two of the wall pieces came together. And so there's, I don't know if you can see this. I can't see it. So right here, there's like a hole and a hole. So there's wallpaper on this side and there's wallpaper on this side. So what I want to do is I'm going to take wood filler and I'm going to fill this in. And I'm just going to kind of take something straight and I'm just going to try and make this as square as possible so it looks like an actual square part of a wall. And this might have been something to do before I put the carpet down, but I didn't. And then I'm just going to take another piece of wallpaper. Okay, this is where the miniaturist contortioning happens. And I'm just going to fold it over this corner. It'll be a smaller piece than this. And try to line it up with the pattern. Fold it over and cover that piece. And that's going to be my plan to kind of cover up this little construction joint right here and anywhere else that there's a construction joint. And I'll try and remember to show you guys next time how that looks so you can decide if you want to do that too. I think that when you take down the wall to see inside is like you are cutting a cross section of the house. So it would be cut, not overlapping. That makes sense, especially I went to school for architecture, and when you draw a cross section, you usually leave that part black wherever you're cutting through something. So that makes a lot of sense. You should show the inside of the walls and the ground too. Well, I'll probably just paint it like y'all said. These walls would be very hard to show the insides because they're super, super thin. Cork flooring might be suitably tasteless in that new hallway. I love that. You can get sticky cork sheets much thinner than actual cork tile. I have to think about that. I can't actually picture a cork floor. I don't know if I've ever been in a house with a cork floor. Okay, so this piece goes up here. I have not glued it in yet because I still want to have some space to work in here. And I guess, I don't know if there's a piece in the kit for this back piece right here. I have seen, like in my Real Good Toys kit that Adam's Family is made out of, a lot of times they don't think about this. Like they've got this part, but a child or someone could still fall on this side. So maybe it's in the kit somewhere and I just didn't see it, but I'll probably just hand build this part right here. And I may have to cut into the flooring to glue that in. We'll see. We're not really going in order of the directions anymore. So I do know that I want to make the wood flooring for this top piece right here for the attic floor. And so I was going to show you how I'm going to do that. And I have, let me see. We'll take a quick break because I did talk about, we're not taking a break from the stream, just a break from building, because I did want to show you something, and I talked about it when I first started live streaming last Tuesday, but then the stream failed and that part never actually got uploaded to YouTube. So what I did is let's see, in the directions here somewhere, it says, somewhere in the directions, I had it all pulled out last time. Here it is. Okay. In the directions, it said Houseworks option, because I think the next step is windows and doors. And so the Houseworks option they have here are 11 Victorian windows, 3 interior doors, and 1 Victorian door. So it's a little pricey, but I went ahead and decided to order these. And I was thinking that we'd put 1 window together from this kit, and then just so you can see how it goes together. And then I will also show you how to install these pre-made kits so that you can make that decision if it's worth the money, because it's 11 windows. It's a lot of windows, but this is I'll tell you the price and everything in a second, but I just wanted to do this so you guys could kind of make that choice if you wanted to. Hi, Rob. Daddy Skeleton needs to have his home office in that toll-free complete with an indoor putting green. Bye, Burnenville. I almost said Bourbonville. Burnenville. Sleep well. Okay. If I'm missing questions, I'm sorry. Just repost them. All right, so I ordered, they said Houseworks, and miniatures.com does have Houseworks. So I went on their website, and I like to support them because they support the dollhouses for kids battling cancer. And so I didn't get a discount or anything, but if I feel like if I'm helping their business, then they can help. Anne and her, it's not a business, her quest for making dollhouses for kids with cancer. So I will tell you that they want you to buy 11 Victorian windows. Now these Victorian windows are $12 each. That is a lot of money. So one option that you have is to buy, I bought 1 Victorian window, and then I bought 9 traditional windows that are $6.50. So basically that cut my cost in half. And so don't just go in and type in their number. You can kind of look around and see what prices you like. I bought 1 Victorian window for the tower, and then all the rest of the windows are going to be traditional windows so that I could save some money. So I did buy the windows. I only bought 2 interior doors because I took out that bathroom partition, and so I don't need a door for that. And then I bought 1 Victorian door for the front. So my total for that, plus I bought some half-scale staircase spindles and a half-scale handrail. All of that came to $138.86 American dollars. So like I said, big purchase here, and I will let you know my opinion on whether I think it was worth it in the end, but I'll show you the pieces. But of course you don't have to do that. They have everything in this kit for you to use. So let me show you. And I don't know if it's more expensive because they're half scale or what, but this is the traditional window that was $6.50 instead of $12. And I still think it will look fine on a Victorian house. So just finding this was a huge money saver for me. And then this is the Victorian door, which is a pretty cute door. And if you wanted to, I think in the last live stream, someone said you could make a casting of this and then make pediments to go on top of the windows. And you definitely could do that if you wanted to. I actually bought 2 Victorian doors because I have that doorway on the top of the tower. And then 1 Victorian window for the tower. And then these are the interior doors. And it's surprising how small they are just because I'm used to 12 scale doors. So And then here are their little stair spindles. And, oh, and then here's the handrail because I'm going to be making that exterior staircase. And so I went ahead and since this was like 89 cents. So after spending all that money on doors and windows, I was like, might as well spend 89 cents for a handrail. So anyway, I just wanted y'all to know the cost because it is pretty steep. And they just kind of put this nonchalantly in here and they're like, you can go buy these. And then you kind of like are like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money once you get to the website. But there's you can work around it. You just want to make sure that the width and the height of whatever window you choose matches the width and the height of the one that they're suggesting to you here, because they will tell you the one that will fit. Marcia says, my pocketbook demands that I be creative and DIY on most things. And I totally agree. That's why I started making miniatures, because I could not afford to purchase any of the ones that I wanted. But occasionally on things like doors and windows where I don't want to make them over and over and over again, I will save up. And especially if I know that cost is coming, I can kind of do that. But a lot of times I want to make my own stuff and then save my money for the things I either can't make or don't want to make. Okay. Oh no, Penny, don't do that. DIY is just more fun all the way around. The more you make yourself, the more you feel like you really made the final piece. And I totally agree with that. I'm totally on board with all things handmade. But there are other options if you're interested. So, and I'm hoping that one of the things on my channel can be me trying out some things or experimenting with some things so that you guys can make that choice. As far as like this week, I've been messing around with my 3D printer, and I know not everybody's going to want a 3D printer. It's kind of an expensive thing to have. We actually purchased it we purchased it 3 years ago. It took a year for it to get to us because it was a Kickstarter, which was okay because we got a really good deal on it. But I mean, it's not something that everyone's going to own. But I'm hoping by me kind of reviewing it and messing around with it, you can either decide, yes, this is something I have to save up for to get because I can really use it, or nah, that's not something I really need right now, or something I really want. So, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these same Post-its. That's why I like to use Post-its, because you can kind of reuse them and re-stick them wherever you need them. So this one, and I have all different sizes here. So I'm just going to take them all apart. Everyone wants a 3D printer. Well, I'll be honest with you. While it is really cool and it can do some really cool things, we messed up when we first bought ours, and we did not do the research into the ventilation. And it was very frustrating, and it was a huge setback because we ended up having to spend money on ventilation, and because we don't have an outside area where we can set up the printer and make sure that our air is staying clean, or for our children, for our pets. And so we ended up having to invest in some ventilation, and it was more expensive, honestly, than the 3D printer. So I'm hoping that by me making some mistakes, I can help other people not make those same mistakes. Obviously, I don't want to do that on purpose, but if it can help somebody, that'd be great. And yes, the 3D printer, I have one, but I haven't taken the time to work with it. It is definitely a learning curve. And luckily, I have my husband, who is an avid researcher on anything that interests him. And so I can kind of rely on him and just say, look, this is what I want to do. I need you to figure out how I can do it. And So he's really awesome in that way. But now he's trying to teach it all to me, and I'm starting to get it. The big learning curve is going to be how to make my own 3D files, because right now there's a process in learning how to use the printer, how to clean the printer, how to set up the printer, how to load files, how to make sure they're the right size for whatever miniature project you're doing. And then there's a whole nother side of it, which would be how to make your own 3D files in a 3D program. So I do have some experience with 3D AutoCAD from my years working in the architecture field, but it's been a while. So I still feel like that's going to be a huge learning curve, and I'm still just trying to figure out how to use the printer. So it'll be a bit before we get there. Heather says, I love the post-it idea so much. I'm using it for my flooring. Yeah, it works really, really well, especially on complicated spaces like with stuff in the middle. It's one of my favorite ways to do it. And now I'm reusing these post-its twice because they're re-sticky. Thank you for bringing that up. I hadn't thought about ventilation. I can't afford a 3D printer yet, but I'm working on it. Yeah, it was a big surprise to us, and for some reason it was weird. It's just weird to me that there's no, I mean, because a lot of times people who are buying a 3D printer for the first time don't know anything about it, like us. That's what we did. Sorry if I keep bumping the microphone here. But, hold on. It's surprising to me that there's no place anywhere on the website or when you purchase the item that says be sure to think about ventilation, or this machine causes fumes, just so you know. And I mean, I guess that's not their job to make sure that we do that, but kind of isn't it though? I don't know. I kind of feel like they could have warned me. Obviously they know more about 3D printing than I do. I don't know. Let's see, Makerspace, Fusion 3D, and Sculptress. Well, I've never heard of those. We have Mesh Mixer or something, so I need to play around with that because I think that one was free. I'm not sure though. Now this floor is not glued in yet, but it is the easiest one to show my flooring process on, so that's why I'm doing this one. Looks kind of dark for some reason. Aldi has started doing recently priced 3D printers. What? In their weekly special buys. They appear in store a few times a year. Huh. That is weird. Man, that's awesome. See, I had no idea the 3D printer needed ventilation either. It was a very sad and disheartening discovery. Our whole house was just toxic the first time we ran it. And I had a headache. Everybody had a headache. Like, we just had no idea. It was a complete surprise to us. And yes, there's probably blogs out there we could have watched and just kind of figured it out. But even in watching some of the videos, I didn't feel like it was like, this is an extremely important thing you need to know. I didn't feel like it was stressed. It was just like, kind of glossed over. So I want to make sure that I stress it anytime I talk about our 3D printer, because I can't handle really strong smells. So especially smells that come with toxins, I can't handle either. Here in Brazil, people who sell products that have the legal obligation to warn about any risk to the consumer. They probably do in America too. And it could totally be that somebody contacts me and look, it's right here. But why is this off? I don't know. Okay, let me restick these guys. And we almost have a floor pattern. This one over here is off. The other thing I want to tell y'all about, because you said that Aldi has a 3D printer. If it is an extruder printer, which means it kind of has like a glue gun nozzle on it, and it kind of I cannot get this straight. Okay, let me turn this around. And so it kind of it has that filament. It's like that curly plastic stuff that goes into the printer. My husband just did a super chat. Thank you, sweetie. He's just trying to see if super chat works. What was I saying? Oh, that's why it's not working, because this piece is not straight. That makes sense. If you have an extruder printer, which is where it has the filament, and it kind of goes through this little nozzle and it kind of squirts it out and builds it up like this. Where am I? There we go. Builds it up like this. You have a harder time getting the amount of detail that you want for miniatures, because it's a little bit chunkier and you will always see those level lines. What we have is a resin printer, and so it takes liquid resin, and then it has like a little plate in the bottom, and it has UV light there, and so it just prints each level, and the build happens like this. It like starts flat and then it goes and it builds it upside down. And because it's using resin, it has a lot more detail, and so that's probably the only type of printer that they have right now that I would suggest to a miniaturist, but it's the one that comes with the fumes. I was wondering who was flirting with you. It's just my husband. Being super sweet from the other room. He also put the kids to bed and he made dinner. I'm super, super lucky. And he fixes my live streams. So I'm definitely going to have him on a video someday so y'all can meet him. He's not opposed to being on camera or anything, but he's not like a big talker. Like he talks to me, but not a big public speaker, which I guess I'm not a public speaker either. I have publicly spoke, but I've gotten better at it. Okay, there's a couple places where I'm going to put some tape just to reinforce it before it comes up. And especially because I have to lift it up over this. And then I'm actually going to cut it out of cardstock, I think, and then I'm going to do cardstock pieces on top of it for the wood pattern. So I don't know if this is not a smart thing to do before it's glued in, but I'm doing it anyway. Kim, it probably is because it uses resin. Because anytime you use resin, you definitely need ventilation during the curing process. And so if you have an extruder type printer, then you may not need the same type of ventilation. See, that's why I was kind of thinking, shouldn't they have told us we need ventilation? Because extruder 3D printers were the only ones they had for a while. And the resin printing is like new technology. So I'm like, tell them that they're gonna need some ventilation. Okay, so now I'm just gonna gently lift this up. Ta-da! Perfect floor plan here. Alright, so here we have our floor plan. And a lot of times I will just go ahead and somewhere mark top, because it's super easy to flip it and just not realize that you flipped it, and then all of a sudden your floor doesn't work. How much ventilation is enough? Well, we got a filter, and it sits right next to the 3D printer. Let's see if I can. There's my weird clock I was telling you about right there, my Salvador Dali clock. Okay, this is the printer right here. It's a little guy, which is good because I only make miniatures. And then this is the filter, and it has like 5 levels or something, 5 levels of ceramic filter stuff. This is me not knowing anything about anything technical. And it has like this high rate of filtering, and it has like an app, and it'll tell you the air quality And we just kind of keep an eye on it, and if it gives you a warning that the air quality is poor, it means that it does suddenly not enough ventilation. But at the moment, that filtering system is working. Are you going to work on the ceiling before you enclose the house? I probably should. I probably should work on the ceiling, but the ceiling I will probably do the same exact way. I will kind of flip it and then make a pattern of it, and then probably cut it out of something just slightly textured, like you can get textured scrapbook papers and stuff, and then I will just glue that up. Is it an Anycubic photon? No, it's called a Kudo 3D, and the style is called a bean, like B-E-A-N, bean. But actually, if you look that up, it's extremely expensive now. We got a good deal going through a Kickstarter, but there are other printers out there by other brands that do the same liquid resin printing that are cheaper. So, and apparently probably do the same job that the one we do, but the brand is Kudo, Kudo. Does your husband have a bro? He does, but he's also married. My son just opens the window and has a bathroom fan running. I think when we first ran the printer, like after we realized that it was toxic, we took it outside and ran it on the back porch, and we just had it on like a little portable like rolly cart, and that worked really well because it was outside, and so that was plenty of ventilation. But it gets so hot and then cold and then suddenly rains, and so we didn't feel safe about having this machinery on the porch that's not like closed in. And so we decided to, because in the long term, my hope is to have things printing while I'm working. We just decided to do that investment so that it can be in the house. The resin can cost some money, but my husband has found some low cost resins, and we actually just tested it last week, or lower cost than what is suggested by the company, and I liked it even better. So thankfully my husband, like I said, is a researcher and loves to research things, and so he's been big into figuring all that out, and he'll be like, hey, let's try this, hey, let's try this. And so I'm like, sounds awesome, let's try it. Okay, so I'm gonna get some cardstock so that we can get this guy cut out, and then we can start on the wood floor. And we're making good time because we still have like an hour left. So how sensitive is the printer to being level? I don't know. I don't know. If my husband's still on here, he might be able to answer that question better than I can. As far as I know, we haven't had any issues with that. I mean, it has a little tray that the resin sits in, and so I imagine like you'd be able to tell pretty quickly if the levels were off, because the resin would be like tilting to one side or another. But I don't know the specific answer to that question. And different styles of printers it may still work fine as long as the resin level stays where the bottom is completely covered. I'm not quite sure. Okay, so what we want to do is I'm going to make the flooring out of this cardstock, and I'm going to try and join these two pieces here together, and oops, kind of put this up in the corner, and then I'm going to cut around it. Luckily with the stickiness, it will kind of stick down a little bit, which is helpful. And then I can also add just a few pieces of tape along the edges, and I can just cut through them when I get to that spot. And one more. I saw one 3D printer that was self-leveling. I don't remember which type it was though. Well, that's pretty cool. I imagine, I don't know, all technology nowadays has like some kind of app that will send you a message to your phone. So I imagine it'd probably just text you if it wasn't level and it'd tell you it's not happy or something. Okay, so now I'm going to find my X-Acto blade and cut out the floor. I'm going to try and make sure that these two pieces stay together. Oops. Okay. Trying to stay as close as I can. If it's not exactly perfect, you know me, it's okay. Bye, Heather. Thanks for joining us. Check Amazon and Google for resin printers for videos. Yeah, there is a lot of information out there, and probably when I make my video about resin printers, I'm not going to be giving you any specific, like, this is how to do it, this is how to set it up, because there's so many videos of people who are way smarter than me and know a lot more than I do. But I will probably be giving you my perspective as a miniaturist and how I prefer to use the machine for miniatures. And because there are so many videos out there that are probably better than anything I could do to show you exactly how to use it and how, like, cleanup. That was another thing that frustrated me, is it didn't really tell you a lot of cleanup. There was nothing in the booklet that came with it on cleanup, and you're using like liquid resin. It's really nice to know how to clean that stuff up, you know, for your own safety and for environmental safety. But there was nothing, and so we had to do a lot of our own research on that. So just a lot of missing information, I feel like. But I feel like we're getting the hang of it now, and this last week while we were printing, really enjoyed seeing the prints come off the printer and seeing a nice quality. And so, yeah, I'm excited to keep going with that and keep learning. Okay, so we almost have a floor here. This is a weird shape, not square at all. You can't tell by looking at the chimney itself, but that is okay. Cut this guy out. Oh, there we go. And the reason I'm using cardstock is because we are in half scale. I want my boards and the distance between my boards to be very thin, and a lot of times I'll use what am I trying to say? I use mat board, but mat board is extremely thick, and I think it would look out of scale. I'm just guessing because we'll see. That's my plan. Oh, thank you, Andrea. Oh, my husband just put whatever type of resin we use. He knows all that stuff. I don't know. And that resin that we just recently used, I felt like was really nice to paint on. And it didn't feel like plastic. It felt a little bit more soft and like it had more tooth to paint on. So I enjoyed using that. Carol says there is a Facebook 3D miniature site. I would also like to know the name of that if you have it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to mark the top. I'm going to do it with a pencil because this pen, if I add any glue, it smudges and it's horrible. And it takes 5 coats of paint to paint over. So I'm just going to write T for top. Once I start putting the flooring on there, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Trying to decide what I'm going to do to connect these pieces. And I think for now, I'm just going to put a piece of tape. Once I put the individual floorboards on there, I can take the tape off, and then it won't be like lumpy. So we'll just stick that guy. So this is on the bottom. And then we will start making our floorboards. Okay, so put that up there, and I need this guy right here. So I know I use this in a lot of videos, and I always say that you can use scissors, and you definitely can. But something like this is going to be a lot easier if you have one of these straight cutters. And if you have like a Hobby Lobby or Michael's near you, they always have coupons, and which make these so much more affordable and makes things with like where it's just a monotonous straight cutting a lot easier for you. So I'm going to take these extra pieces from where I cut out the floor. I'm going to show you how I'm going to start doing this. Let me know if everything's still going okay. I still have a warning from YouTube about keyframes. I don't know YouTube. So I guess it's still all right. Okay. So what I'm going to be doing is I think I'm going to make, so I have to think about scale here. So if the typical floorboard is about 4 inches or so, that is about 1/3 of an inch. So I want 1/6 of an inch. I know everyone who uses centimeters and millimeters is going to be cringing at this moment. I'm sorry. I was raised in the American school system. So what is 1/6 of an inch? Let's see. We'll figure it out, and then we'll use maybe centimeters. So we have 1/8 inches. So I don't know. We'll do 1/2 centimeter. So 5 millimeters. Look at that. Figuring out my metric system here. All right, but I don't have centimeters on my board. It's in inches. Okay. Gotta be complicated. Hi, Karen. I'm glad you could catch the live stream. Thank you so much. Okay. So let's see how much. So it's a little less than 1/4 inch. Oh, we're just gonna start making cuts. It'll be, we're just gonna figure it out. I'm just gonna go this line. My technical prowess here. I have a ruler that's divided into 12ths. I have a architectural triangle scale. That's what it's called. It's called a scale. And it would be helpful, except that this whole cutter thing is in inches. So, okay, so this is about 3/16 inch wide. And I'll tell you what it is in centimeters. In millimeters, it is 4 millimeters wide. I know, Joanne's been lecturing me on the metric system for a while. And I'm not arguing. I think it makes a lot more sense than our way. But it is probably, I do think in inches first, because especially after working in the architecture field for, well, how long was that? Well, I went to school for it for 4 years, and then I worked in the field for 4 years. So 8 years of inches, feet and inches are ingrained in me. But Joanne may make a convert of me yet. Does anyone else in the world use inches? I don't know. I don't know the history of our measurement system either. I do think it's funny that 3 feet is a yard. And you could always think of 3 feet in a yard, but who has 3 feet? Nobody. So you're either standing there with a one-legged person, which is totally fine, or you have 3 feet. So I don't know where feet came from. Jillian knows both, which is probably good. And I understand both, but just I automatically think in inches. That's just what I've been trained to do, I guess. Okay, so I have several pieces like this. I'm just going to cut a few more, and these are what are going to become our boards. And this is probably where I'm going to have to fight my glue bottle again. So I'll go ahead and turn it on its side while I'm finishing this up. I need a frog holder, like y'all mentioned earlier. And there is a gnat flying around in here. I feel like as soon as there's any hint of spring, gnats just swarm, at least in our house. No, there's nothing wrong with having 3 feet. Not at all. Okay, so we're gonna get all, we'll just do a couple more. And you can probably know approximately how many pieces you're gonna need, because it's pretty much gonna take, you know, as much cardstock as you have down to cover it again as the floorboards. Oh, Karen said something helpful. If it's any help, I have a chart I made giving me inches to millimeters and vice versa. My mom was an architect and did the chart for me. That's awesome. That was really good. I'm English and I've never left England, and I use both, but metric for minis, I find it more accurate. It definitely is. I mean, who wants to look up how wide 5/16 is and how to double it? I mean, it's just insane. So many fractions. That's true. Gnats over mosquitoes for sure. We have mosquitoes too. They're waiting right outside this window. Right there. Doesn't matter. You walk out and they're just in your face. Luckily, they don't really come in that much. I mean, they do. But they haven't really been bad right at the moment. Okay. So I have all these pieces, and what I'm going to do is cut them just a little bit shorter. I don't know if I can do this I'm just going to do it with my scissors. Okay, we're going to move this. And we're going to start on the floor. I don't know. We'll see how boring it is to watch me do the flooring. And then I might finish it later, but I'll show you what I'm doing. At least to start with. So I'm going to try and cut these guys pretty much in half. I'm just going to eyeball it. Okay. So here's all our little planks. And let me get my little, this is a chocolate milk thing. I take them from my kids whenever they're done with their chocolate milk. See, I have them everywhere. I always tell my kids, you hand me your milk caps, and they know. Okay. There they are. Dealing with ants. I don't know if you were here earlier, Michelle, but there was an ant on my desk. Literally crawling across my desk. I like the lessened accuracy in the inches. Yeah, I can understand that. just kind of eyeball it. In the one and only day I've had of summer, I've gotten bitten 3 times. Oh no. My sister has mosquitoes are highly attracted to her. So I know if she's around, then I'm not going to get bit. But if she's not around, then I probably will get bit. Oh, Sophie's Choice found that Liberia and Myanmar also use inches and feet. Okay, so I'm going to get as much glue out as I can. I guess this weekend is going to be me going to buy glue, because we are about out. I will not complain about bugs to someone from Australia. My grandfather went to Australia a while back, and he would tell the tales. He worked there for a while, and hearing about the bugs in Australia was very interesting. Okay, so let me see if I can zoom us in a little bit. Okay, it'll stop wiggling in a second. All right, so I've got my glue here, and I'm just going to start in one corner, and because this is the attic floor, it's a good one to start with to kind of get my grip on how I want my floor to look. And because they're all the same size, I want to go ahead and start staggering them. Now this one I can start in the corner, but when I get to this one, because usually floorboards are staggered, I'm going to want to kind of put it off to the side like this, and then I can just cut that piece whenever it's all said and done. So I'm going to go ahead and take my glue and put it on here. The nice thing is that paper glues to paper really, really well. So I just kind of have to touch it with a little bit of glue, and it should be good to go. And then I'll probably put a sealant on it afterwards, or like Mod Podge or something, and it'll doubly make sure that all of the planks will stay down. Now I'm going to get a lot of glue on my fingers, so that's okay. All right, so kind of get that guy lined up as best as I can, but if anything goes over the edge, I can always just cut it off because it's just paper. Oh my goodness, Michelle, that's a lot of mosquitoes. I started making doll stuff for my daughter, and I've learned to appreciate centimeters. It's just simpler. I need to do like a challenge to myself to just like do like a month in centimeters. That's what I need to do. I do the scoring technique. Jillian said it's cool that you cut every board instead of just scoring the cardstock to make boards. And I do score mat board when I use it that way, but because this scale is half the size of 12th scale, I thought that this would be a little bit easier and more accurate way to get the texture that I wanted. And yes, it's going to probably take a while, but it's one of those things where I think it's worth it in the end. And I'll just put like on a movie, because it's kind of a brainless task. Like once you get the hang of it and get all your pieces cut, you can just sit there and work on it and, you know, catch up on whatever your latest show you want to see is. So I'm going to leave a slight gap here between these boards, and then just kind of push this guy up against the side. And I don't know if it's the house. Well, I do know the house is curved, but this side right here is a little bit curved. And so I'm just kind of going to have to take that into consideration when doing the floor. But I'm okay with wonky floors. If you're trying to get more of a perfect look, you may want to do more of like a pre-purchased thing, or put draw ruler lines and you know, do it that way. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. let's see. Would a glue stick work for this if you seal it later, or is it likely to come? A glue stick might work. Do I have a glue stick? It'd probably go faster. But yeah, if you're gonna seal it later, it might work. I typically don't trust glue sticks in any way, shape, or form. And for 3 years, I had banned them from my art class, and I wouldn't let kids use glue sticks because they never glued anything together, especially the school ones. I don't know why I just glued that whole thing, because obviously it's not going to all be on here. But that's okay. And I wanted the kids to understand how to use a glue bottle, because that's a skill, is knowing how to, you know, get the right amount of glue out of something. So I have glue on here, right here. So I'm going to cut that off and then start my next row with that. Or I might do the top part here. As you can see, we have this extra little bit, and this is a piece that goes up and beyond the tower. So I'm going to glue this on here and see how I left this gap. Hopefully you guys can see. There's a gap here. So when I paint it, it'll look like a gap between floorboards. And as you can see, it's going off of the flooring here, but I'll just come back with my scissors and just cut this part off. So. I was an art teacher. I haven't really announced it on my channel yet, but this year I'm going to try and go full-time as a miniaturist, making videos for you guys. Oh, bye Marion. Thank you for joining. Like I said, I haven't really announced it. It's kind of a scary thing, but there's some things happening in our lives where this is kind of a good time for me to do this, to be home and working for myself. So we're going to give it a go, try it out. And hopefully that means, you know, that I can do more for the channel and, you know, just kind of things to build the channel and to build up a little bit of a income for myself. So we'll see. I'm still going to, I mean, channel's not going to change in any bad ways. Just so you know, I'm still going to be doing, you know, give you guys free patterns and stuff. So I don't want that to sound scary or anything like that. Let me know if you have any questions. But ultimately my plan is to do something like opening like a Patreon. And I know Patreon gets kind of a bad rap, and I've been trying to figure out how to do it so that nobody on YouTube feels like they have to or need to be on Patreon, or that they're missing anything, and make it just very, very fair, and just where it's kind of like an extra helpful thing for me to buy supplies so that I can continue doing this. But yeah, I have seen channels where they kind of stopped being on YouTube and were kind of telling people, well, if you want to see the stuff I'm making, you have to go on Patreon. And it was really sad because I really loved that channel and they were doing really cool stuff. But, you know, I just felt like they left behind the people who were on YouTube, and I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that it's all done very well. So I've been researching that, and anyway, I'll make a video on that at some point. I hope I didn't just say everything wrong, but Timbit says, I see a lot of people use wood craft sticks for floors. I've tried it and the wood always buckled. Paper method you're using seems to be much better. I have seen the wood sticks as well, and I've seen it done well, but I think for the half scale at least, it's going to be too thick, at least in my eyes. Patreon is a place, it's a place where a lot of smaller YouTubers can make, that one's kind of curvy, make some extra money and really, it's supposed to be like if you like someone's work, you can pay a little extra to be on their Patreon, and then you get a little extra content for that money that you kind of donate towards their whatever they do. And but some people see it as, okay, well, I'm getting better money on Patreon, so if you don't want to pay, then you're not going to see my stuff. And I don't want that at all, because, you know, this whole thing has happened because of people on YouTube watching me, and I don't want anyone to feel like they're missing anything. So anyway, I don't know. It's kind of complicated, and it's kind of a delicate matter. And so that's why I'm trying to find the best way to do it, so people who want to do Patreon feel like they're getting something for their money, and people who don't feel like they're missing out on anything. So that's my going back and forth. I like Sugar Charm Shop, and then she left YouTube, create a whole another website. Yeah, I remember that was kind of abrupt. I loved her channel too, and I miss her videos. I've used small popsicle sticks in 1/12 scale, and it had its issues, but eventually turned out well. Well, that's good. A site I follow uses Patreon to help pay for their staff writers. Okay. Yeah, I think some people use it to pay for people to edit their videos. Like for me, it would be a way to help me buy more materials. And like, for example, buying the windows and doors that I showed you guys earlier, just so that you can see kind of a comparison between, you know, how to do it yourself, or if you prefer to invest in these things. So I don't know. I think I've found a way where it will be fair, and no one will feel like if they can't contribute to Patreon that they're missing anything. And I think I've said that like 5 times. I'd rather see a buy me coffee button where appreciative people can donate directly and Patreon isn't profiting. Yeah, there's a website called Coffee, and basically I don't want to, Patreon has like tiers, so you get like more stuff if you donate more money, and I don't like that idea. And so I would just have like one tier. It's basically just, you know, I don't like that division of, oh, this person gives me more money, so they get more stuff. I don't want to do that. So kind of more like a coffee type thing. Seems like a few people have had issues with craft sticks bending. So Marcia says, I use craft sticks for flooring. I do a few rows at a time so I can clamp them, and then I sand it all smooth when it's done. It's slow, but it turns out good. So that's a good way to do it. It's just clamp it down. Okay, so I have half a board here. I probably am getting off screen here and I'm not paying attention. Sorry. Okay, so I have, starting on this side, so you can start to see the wood floor pattern kind of showing up here, hopefully. Okay, Sophie's Choice says something in brown. Oh, okay. Brown paper bags ripped up make great floors too. Are you talking about like where it looks like kind of a concrete type flooring? Because that would be really pretty, like the stained concrete. Okay, Trina says, explain why you're going this way instead of scoring the floor. So I score with mat board. Like I'll take my X-Acto knife and score it, but with cardstock, it's really, really thin, and so I'm afraid it would kind of weaken the paper, and I would kind of score through it and it would be falling apart. And so in order to get the division in the floor lines like I want, this is why I'm doing it this way. Okay. Wrinkle it up, paint it, and then tear it into pieces, and it looks so cool. That's really neat. I'll have to try that sometime. Perhaps publishing a book through Amazon of tips and tricks to aging miniatures. Like half the book would be watered down brown and black paint. I feel like. I do think it'd be fun to make a book sometime, but I need more content at some point. Okay, so I'll probably work on the... Aw, thank you, Joanne. She said, donation more materials. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, I appreciate that. Oh, okay, so I'm gonna put that on there. This is the first time I've gotten super chat from, well, my husband gave me my first super chat, and then Joanne, so thank you so much. You can make it look like concrete or brick or wood or leather-like. If you want to color it, you paint it first and then rip it so you can get the unpainted edges. I'll have to look that up and try that out. Sometime when I'm not quite sure what flooring I want to do, I'll have to do that. Do a book series on miniatures. That'll keep you busy for ages. It has to be spiral bound so it can lay flat while someone's working. That is really smart. I hope I remember that forever. Heather says you need to do a tutorial on that. If you have pictures of what you've done and you want to post it somewhere, you're welcome to post it on my Facebook page, and I'll share it to the page so everybody can see what you're talking about. All right. How long are y'all going to be willing to watch me do this? I don't know. Thank you, Lizzie Snowbright. It earlier, y'all probably can't see it. Earlier it was crazy. Like my hair was just Texas high, like poof, sticking straight up. Because I didn't get up and like do anything to it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece off. You know what I didn't do? Is I didn't check that this floor fit in the house. I did not do that. So I guess we'll take a break and do that for a second before I do the entire floor and it doesn't fit. It should fit, but I didn't check. Rachel says, when you're ready to do a book, let us know and we'll throw in our suggestions. Okay, sounds like a deal. Okay, let me zoom out so we can make sure that this fits. All right. Here we go. Tight fit, but it fits. So here you can see this is all gonna look like wood flooring up here. And I'm gonna have to do this for all the floors of my house, except this room. So I'll have to do it for this room and this room. And since I made this walk-through area here, I have to make it to where it goes behind this. So I'll probably cut a slit in the back. So good. I'm glad that worked because I didn't test it. Okay. I weighed it down, it's still warped, but I started a house and used duct tape that looked like brick. That's cool. Was it like brick textured or like a brick pattern? I had my hair cut really short for most of my life and I find it very liberating. Yeah, when I was growing my hair out earlier, I was just growing it out long enough to make sure that I wanted to keep it short. And I was like, yep. It was me finding like strands of hair like in my artwork, then I was like, I'm done with this. I'm back to short hair. My hair just falls out really easily. Not because I'm like losing hair, but just it's really thick. And so I mess with it and then it just falls out. Something I did with wood flooring, and I'm new to this, for whatever it's worth, I bought 132nd inch balsa and cut my floorboards 4-inch long, 1/4 inch wide, and dunked it in watered down paint. That's a good idea with balsa wood, because balsa wood is really easy to dent. Floors are fun, whatever works. I love to experiment. That's why I always put the comments on the live feed, because I want people to be able to see everyone's suggestions, because like oftentimes I learn more from you guys in the comments than you probably learn from me. Yeah, balsa is really fuzzy. Okay. So, I don't know if y'all want to watch me do this floor anymore, because it's probably going to take a long time. I'll probably do a little bit more so I don't waste this glue. But I'm trying to think of what else we could do this time around. We could kind of see where we are in the directions. Well, I know where we are, because I need to finish putting the bay windows together, because I kind of, before the last stream failed, I show you how it goes together, but I need to wallpaper the inside and glue the bay windows on. Sorry, I keep saying windows. It's like a bay area, but they're walls. Bay window walls. I feel like I'm losing my voice. Hold on a second. I got my iced tea, my Texas iced tea. I bought a bag of different size wood square pieces and stained them all different colors of brown, and it turned out great. That sounds like it would be really pretty. Never again on the balsa, although I did salvage the Bentley retro stove today. I'm glad. I'm glad you got it to work. I was very anti balsa, but I did use it for the countertop in my coffee shop, and I really like how it turned out. And it was because it was supposed to look splintery and old, and that's why it worked. But if I was trying to do anything like perfect or like with clean lines, I really would stay away from balsa. Heather says, this live stream reminds me a lot of the classes I used to take at my old mini store. I learned so much from the other students. It was like getting extra classes for free. Very, very true. Yeah, it is nice just to sit. I mean, people have so much knowledge. That's why I'm like, please write your comments, give me suggestions, because I for sure do not know everything. My goodness, there's so much to know in miniatures. I feel like if we all share what we know, then all the better. Luke Towan runs his balsa through some steel wire wool to make it cleaner, but haven't tried that yet. Is Luke Towan the guy who does like the gaming things? Because I think I'm subscribed to his channel. If y'all are only subscribed to miniature channels, I highly suggest going out and looking at some terrain channels, like the guys who do terrain for like tabletop games, because oh my goodness, no one can make a better landscape than those guys. And I have learned so much from watching. And I mean, they're still miniaturists, they're making something in miniature, but a lot of times but it's not really dollhouse scale, but a lot of it can be used for dollhouse situations. Is that the correct term? I may have to get a he does model trains. Okay. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. There's another Luke guy who does terrain. Terrain. Not Terrain. Terrain. Okay, he's the railroad guy. I think I'm subscribed to him too. I'm subscribed to several model builders and terrain builders. RPG channels are amazing. I learned how to make a climbing vine. Yes, they are amazing. Would there be a benefit to gluing coffee stirrers to heavy paper before installation? If you glued them to paper like cardstock, you could get like some heavy weight on it and make sure it's flat, because a lot of times it's hard to do that inside of a dollhouse. So you could definitely try that. Diorama. Oh, I didn't know there was a diorama page on Facebook. I need to look that up. Yeah, and if you look on Instagram and you're looking for someone to follow, type in diorama, because oh my goodness, there's so many people who will use that hashtag over miniatures. But I mean, it's just amazing. It opens up like a whole other world of miniatures. It's really cool. A great quick way to make aged wood is to put steel wool in vinegar and let it sit for 24 to 48 hours. Just wipe your wood and it ages it to a weathered gray. I think I've heard of that, but I've never tried it. That would be really cool. Putting a stone slab on my patio for the Mexican shop. Any suggestions? I did stone flooring in my Addams Family mansion in the basement, and I kind of did the same thing, but I cut out stone shapes, and so it's paper on paper. And then I used a sponge to sponge the look of it. So if you go and see my basement tour, you can see what that looked like on my Addams Family playlist. Oh, Heather started with tabletop miniatures. That's awesome. I like dioramas a lot. Since I do rooms, it's a bit closer to what I'm doing than whole dollhouses. Yes, I'm subscribed to both Black Magic Craft and Terrain Tutor. I haven't had the chance to watch much of Black Magic Craft, but his stuff looks really cool. I use basswood instead of balsa as it's still lightweight and sands beautifully. Also, Gorilla wood glue is all I use. It's fantastic. I love wood glue. That is some good stuff. If you haven't messed with wood glue, you need to get some wood glue. It makes everything so smooth. How about using carpet tape with the skinny sticks? I'm not sure what carpet tape is. I've never heard of that. All right, so we have about 20 minutes left. Should I just keep working on this and chatting with you guys? Because I don't have any other ideas of what we could do. Because I think, like, I'm not at a point where I can paint this yet. Do y'all want me to paint this in the next live stream to show you how I would paint the floor? And then I can go ahead and work on the other floors and get those done. Oh yeah, definitely where the gnomes live. She has, all her stuff is very natural looking because she does a lot of like scenes in trees and very nature looking items. So definitely check out that channel if you haven't. If you want to make anything look like a tree or a stick or a stone or made out of those items, Sharon is awesome. Okay. It's gonna be long and tedious. Whew. So I've been reading a lot, and we just recently, I used to have a library card, but this was like even before the kids were born. I had a library card, and I don't know where it went. But right at the last day of school, I was like, we are going to the library, and this is going to be the summer of reading. And so every week we've been going to the library, and the kids have been getting books, and I have been getting books, and I've just been reading a lot, and I'm actually really enjoying it. So if y'all have any book suggestions, let me know. Preferably free ones from the library. I just saw a great stone step that looked like cement, but I can't remember where. Maybe Joanne's Minis. She has a lot of stuff. Hey, welcome, Crazy Craft Lady. Yes, the sound is working fantastically, so we're very happy about that. Haven't had any issues. YouTube's still complaining about my keyframes. Not telling me what that is, but it's still complaining. I've just started using polymer clay too, and yes, polymer clay is another thing that I have definitely enjoyed having so many knowledgeable people in my comment section to give me advice on polymer clay, because it's a whole nother world just understanding and getting used to using polymer clay. Oops, got glue on my hands. What kind of books do you like? I like right now I'm definitely a fiction reader. I like action with a little bit of humor every now and then. If it's like the only horror book I've ever really read was The Shining, but I really enjoyed it because it wasn't like, it was more of like a brain thriller. It was more like a mind thriller. Hi Christy. So definitely fiction, adventure, but if it has a little bit of humor in it, that's definitely what I'm in for. So, of course everyone says Neil Gaiman, but I really like Neil Gaiman. Right now I'm trying to avoid to tell you what I'm reading right now. I'm reading all the Lemony Snicket books, and I know they're for kids or like young adults, but I'm really enjoying them because it's got a good sense of humor, and like the storyline is really interesting, and sometimes you don't really like. I like it when I can't guess what's about to happen. Stephanie Plum does series is great. Can't remember author. Senior Moment. Stephanie Plum series. Is that? Oh, I can't think. It sounds familiar. Jim Butcher Dresden Files series. Okay, I'll look that up. Dean Koontz. Is Dean Koontz the one that does like the lawyery ones, or that's somebody else? Piers Anthony, if you like puns. I do like puns. I'll look that up. I'm glad you like kids' books too. I've been reading Lemony Snicket, All the Wrong Questions. So I want to read through the series of Unfortunate Events because I liked the movie that Jim Carrey was in. Originally, I haven't watched the Netflix series with, oh, bye Doris. I haven't watched the Netflix series with Neil Patrick Harris, but I did like the movie. And so I wanted to read those, but they weren't at the library. And so I saw this one that said All the Wrong Questions. And I've been enjoying reading it. I just finished the third book in the series, and there's only 4. So I got to get one more. And I'll pick that up tomorrow. Let's see. Yes, they are good for escapism. Oh, Rachel, I co-authored a pair of historical novels. Oh, that's cool. Is it historical fiction or historical fact? Let's see. Dresden Files are great. Oh, the book of the house with the... Oh, I saw the movie, The House with the Clock in Its Walls, and I liked it, but I feel like I didn't... You know, movies are hard to, like, get all the information in there. So I feel like I didn't quite understand what was going on all the time, or there wasn't... I mean, there's not enough time in a movie to explain everything, so maybe I should read the book, because I liked the movie, even though I felt like it was rushed, but it's a movie. Interlibrary loan is the best thing ever. You can get almost anything. I downloaded a book called Bestseller. It looks interesting. That's pretty interesting to name your book Bestseller. 100 Years of Solitude. Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I read it every couple of years, but it's Audible. Sounds interesting. Historical fiction. Oh, that's cool. Is it on your, I think I'm on your Facebook page. I'll have to look it up. Kelly Armstrong is one of my favorite authors. If you like werewolves and magical creatures, she's really good. Very cool. Man, I got a whole list here. Get me through the summer. Because I just kind of walked through the library and was like, I don't know what to look for. Steve Robinson, he has a series of genealogy mysteries that are quite good. There's danger, death, mayhem, and humor. Sounds right up my alley. In Death series by J.R. Ward. Dean Koontz has a Stephen King style with some humor and really makes you think, because it can happen. Ooh, sounds interesting. Ian Banks wrote some interesting one-off novels before he started doing all science fiction series. Well, thank you for the suggestions. I will definitely be looking up some of these authors next time I get on the library site. Because I like to read, but I've been kind of out of doing it for a while. But now I want to make it more of like a daily thing for myself, or at least, doing that like each week. Okay, so I'm going to get this down here. Okay, did anyone answer my question of if you guys want to see me paint this next week, or if we should move on to the next thing? Because I can have all the floors, I can have one floor not painted and then paint that and then go in and do baseboards, or let me know what you think. Okay, quick construction question. Does Mod Podge just seal, or does it make things shiny too before I go glop it all over my stove? Okay, so Mod Podge, even if it says Mod Podge matte, still has a little bit of a shine to it. I haven't found a Mod Podge that's actually completely matte. But the shiny Mod Podge is really shiny. So if you don't want any shine, I suggest you get a spray sealant that says matte sealer, because that is the only thing I've found that is actually matte. I haven't found anything that you paint on that dries completely matte. Oh yeah, I'm probably thinking about Grisham, is who I was thinking about earlier. The genealogist's main character hates to fly and loves Hershey miniatures as his go-to comfort. Oh, that sounds cool. You must have said the book name, but I missed it. Paint and baseboards. Okay. All right. So, what I'm going to do to prepare for next time is I'm going to finish, since I already showed you the technique, and this is how far we got, just me sitting here chatting. So this will take me a while to do, but I'll go ahead and do this for all the rooms, this boring part, so that y'all don't have to watch this. And then I will leave one of them for me to paint so that you can see how I paint the floor. And then we will do baseboards and then age the floors. And that will be the next one. And then we'll also age the shag carpet, because I should have both of the shag carpets in. So we put the green one in tonight. I'll put the brown one in, and then we'll have the wood floors. And then hopefully next time we will be done with flooring. Yeah, and then we can probably put in baseboards. Baseboards don't take that long for me to just show you how I do it. And I don't do it very classy-ish. So yeah. Yes, you can sand the Mod Podge if you want to after you put it on there. Oh, Joanne says the chalk Mod Podge was matte, but it's no longer for sale, which is a bummer. I've used glossy finished and dab fabric on it to reduce shine and give a tiny texture. Well, that's a good idea. You just have to make sure that it's not sticky still, because it will grab those fibers. But if it's just dry to the touch, but not completely dry all the way through, you could try that. Yeah, you're playing with dangerous game, Rachel. Use glossy Mod Podge to add shine to my sink, toilet, and tub that I made from polymer clay. It's all tacky and now has dust stucco. Oh, that's a bummer. You probably can sand it and then, yeah, do a different coat on top of it. That's a bummer that it got all sticky. I have heard that the gloss Mod Podge can be sticky, but I don't typically use it. If I do a gloss, hold on one second. This is the stuff I've been using to put gloss on anything. It's called polyacrylic, and so far I really like it, and it's safe for putting on polymer clay. Whoop, and it's not closed completely. That's not good. But I really do like the finish that it gives. I don't think that'll mess up my floor. It'll just make it a little shiny. And I guess I need to close that better. Okay. Let's see. Okay, yeah, please do tag me, and I'd love to see it. I got an old dollhouse with glitter on the ceilings. Do you know the best way to get rid of it? You could sand it, or you could paint over it and just pretend it's a popcorn ceiling. Or you could just, kind of like I did with this, where I made a solid piece and then glue it to your ceiling. So like in and then glue it up, and it just covers it. But it depends on how chunky the glitter is. Glitter multiplies. Yeah, I don't have a ton of glitter in my house. I'm not a big glittery, shiny person. Y'all know. I'm more of a not glittery person. I have one of my very best friends is a glittery person though. So she's kind of, I have messed with glitter just, you know, because I'm her friend and she wanted glitter, but it takes a lot for me to get into glitter. Yeah. Glitter is a life form. Okay. Well, we're pretty much at the end of the stream. And we have a plan for next time. Do y'all have any other questions? I hope this was helpful. At least reading the comments, I'm sure, was helpful because y'all were helping each other. Yeah, if you put like if you do the post-it method that I showed, you should be able to make a false ceiling and then just glue it over it. It just, like I said, it depends on how chunky the glitter is. If the glue is if it's gonna kind of warp your paper. Hopefully it's flat-ish, and then you should be okay. Just use a really thick cardstock. Don't use like printer paper, because then that won't work very well. All right. Well, I think that's it. I enjoyed the stream, and I enjoyed nothing failing. Good. I'm glad it was helpful. I'm glad we kind of redid it again and didn't struggle for the last hour last Tuesday, and hopefully it worked really well because the internet was boosted, or whatever the term for that is, and hopefully it will continue to stay this way. And our next live stream, what is it going to be, July? Oh my goodness, July 2019, guys. This is going by fast. It's going to be July 2nd, Tuesday night, July 2nd. Pretty crazy. So thank you everyone who participated and helped everybody else. I appreciate it so much. And I'm glad you guys made it. Thank you for hanging out with me. And we will be back next month. And I've got a lot of movies to watch while I do these floors. All right, well, y'all have a good night, and I will talk to y'all later. They've got this new stream interface thing. I always got to figure out. Oh, I lost it. There it goes. Good night, everybody.